Welcome. You have entered Arithrea, a world of broken time and drifting stars, where kingdoms rise and fall in the hush between dreams. This is not a world ruled by clocks or seasons, but by memory and myth. Its lands stretch farther than maps can hold, curling into forgotten corners of imagination. Here, cities drift on clouds like thought made stone, while others coil in caverns beneath the roots of mountains. Some are cradled in oceanic wombs, breathing tides older than any moon. But beneath the golden skin of the southern sands, beneath dunes that hum with sleep, lies a place that cannot be found, only remembered. Nyzariin. The city that sleeps. It is said that Nyzariin does not wake because it remembers too much to do so. Not a ruin, not a relic, but a dream preserved. A breath held. A memory that refuses to dissolve. Those who find their way to it are not wanderers or scholars. They are dreamers. Not always by choice. Perhaps you are one. The journey begins not with a map, but with a forgetting. Something small. The name of a childhood friend. The scent of a place you once loved. The feeling of a story half remembered. These vanish quietly, like dew. In their absence, something else takes root. A hum. A pull. A rhythm not heard but felt behind the eyes. It draws you to the whispering expanse, a desert of shifting voice and windless song. You travel alone, though you do not feel alone. The dunes lean subtly toward your passage, parting slightly with each step. The sand does not resist. It yields as if it knows you, as if it remembers you. The sun above is veiled, its light soft and slow, never blinding. Time dilates, stretches. Hours melt. Shadows dissolve. You walk not toward a place, but through something. The wind does not howl here. It hums. It murmurs words you cannot translate. Yet you understand. Then the change. Subtle. The temperature cools, though no breeze brushes your skin. The air thickens, not with dust, but with meaning. Ahead, the horizon folds inward, warps. Not a mirage, not illusion. A memory surfacing. There is no door, no gate, no marker. Only a place where the world seems to exhale and leave room for something older. You step forward. The descent is slow, like falling into sleep. The sand parts beneath your feet and does not return. You move downward through layers of hush and heat and hidden thought. The light fades, but not to darkness. It becomes golden, internal, as if the air itself glows faintly from within. The ground changes. Sand becomes polished stone. Smooth, cool, laced with thin veins of crystal that pulse faintly when your foot touches them. You are inside something now. Not buried. Held. Cradled by memory and time. The space widens. Walls form, but not from brick or carved stone. They grow. Curved surfaces like the inside of shells, smooth and irregular, embedded with drifting motes of light. They do not stay still. They swirl slowly, like stars stirring in deep water. The hush grows deeper. You are walking through the breath of a city asleep. Nyzariin does not greet you. It simply allows you in. You pass beneath a tall archway formed of two spiraling towers, their tips never touching, always reaching. Between them hovers a shimmer, a ripple in the air like heat but cool to the skin. As you cross it, something changes behind your eyes. A memory that is not yours flickers, a hand pressing into soft sand, a whisper carried away too quickly to be caught. The shadow of wings over water, corridors branch out like roots, twisting, climbing, sinking. You follow one without choosing. The floor slopes downward, the air grows cooler still. Silence deepens, until even your breath seems hushed. Then, suddenly, the hall opens. You stand on the threshold of a vast chamber. The ceiling vanishes into shadow above. Pillars rise around the edges, their surfaces inscribed with shifting symbols. They glow faintly as you pass. In the center of the chamber, floating above a shallow pool of still, dark water, is a sphere of sand. Suspended, turning slowly in place. Every grain held in perfect orbit. You do not question. You approach. As you draw near, the air thickens with sensation. Not emotion. Not thought. Something older. The pool below the sphere reflects not your face, but fragments. A flicker of laughter. A door closing. The feel of a place you once called home. You kneel. Not because you are asked to, but because it feels right. Natural. The sand sphere slows. Then stops. The chamber exhales. And something begins to remember you. The sphere of sand hovers silently, its grains trembling faintly, almost imperceptibly, as though stirred by your gaze. Slowly it begins to rotate again, this time in the opposite direction, pulling your thoughts gently with it. You feel yourself drawn inward, deeper into the layers of memory preserved within Nyzariin. Images form, dissolving softly into one another, shaped by whispers older than the stones around you. A child's hand reaches upward, holding a stone polished smooth by generations of touch. The stone falls, vanishes into soft earth. Grass grows, then withers, replaced by sand. A woman walks, wrapped in silken robes the color of twilight, her eyes closed yet seeing clearly. You know her. You do not recognize her, but you know her. Her lips move silently, shaping words you cannot hear but feel echoing within your chest, resonant, heavy with truth. She kneels, placing a single seed into the ground, covering it gently. Above her, the stars turn slowly, their light pooling in gentle curves around her. The seed does not sprout. It waits. You wait with it, your heartbeat synchronizing with its silent pulse. Centuries pass, or perhaps only moments. In Nyzariin, there is no difference. Eventually, the sphere dims, returning to stillness. The woman's image fades, though her presence remains, lingering softly, warmly. You rise again, aware of your body once more. You leave the chamber quietly, following another corridor downward, deeper still. The walls here are smooth, warm to the touch, pulsing faintly. They are not stone, not truly. They are shaped from dreams, solidified by longing and held fast by memory. Your footsteps echo gently, the sound softening with each step until it blends seamlessly into silence. Ahead, another chamber opens. Smaller this time, intimate, shaped like a cupped palm. At its center rests a single object, a bowl carved from dark, polished wood. It holds clear water, perfectly still, reflecting nothing. You approach cautiously, aware that here every gesture matters, every breath counts. You kneel once more, gazing into the water. Gradually, your reflection appears, shifting subtly. Your features are softened, changed slightly by memory. You see yourself younger, older, and then, someone else entirely. A face you almost know. A life you almost lived. You reach gently, fingers touching the water's surface. Ripples spread outward. And the image dissolves into countless shimmering fragments, each one holding a small, quiet moment. A gentle touch on the shoulder, a glance across a crowded room, laughter heard from another room. Not memories precisely, but echoes of moments unclaimed, possibilities never fully realized. They flow around your fingers, warm and cool at once, before returning to stillness. You withdraw your hand, changed subtly by their touch. You rise slowly, leaving the chamber with quiet reverence. moving deeper into Nyzariin's embrace. The halls now spiral downward in gentle coils, like roots growing deeper into the earth. The air grows richer, filled with scents you half remember: rain on stone, dried flowers, a hearth long cold. These fragrances mingle, blend, form a tapestry of quiet familiarity that wraps softly around you, guiding your steps. Another chamber emerges from the gloom, larger than the last, circular and domed, its walls shimmering softly. At its center stands a figure, cloaked in robes of shifting shadow. They turn slowly as you enter, face obscured yet somehow deeply familiar. They do not speak, but their presence invites you closer, warmly, gently. You approach, stopping only a breath away. They lift their hands, palms open, offering something unseen yet deeply felt. A warmth passes between you, wordless understanding flowing softly, seamlessly. You feel known completely, seen clearly. Then, with a silent nod, the figure turns again, fading softly back into shadow. The chamber itself breathes gently, exhaling softly, a soundless farewell. You turn as well, following yet another path downward, deeper still. The passages become narrower, the walls closer, more intimate. The light here is softer, golden, woven through with threads of deep blue and pale violet. You touch the walls lightly as you pass, feeling them hum faintly beneath your fingertips, responding gently to your presence. Another chamber opens, smaller still, scarcely larger than your own body. At its center floats a single grain of sand, glowing faintly, suspended by nothing visible. You reach out instinctively, catching the grain gently in your palm. It pulses softly, warmth spreading through your skin, into your veins. Your eyes close naturally, willingly. Behind your eyelids, worlds unfold softly, paths not taken, loves not pursued, words left unsaid. You do not regret. You simply witness, accepting softly, gently. Eventually, the warmth fades, replaced by a quiet peace. You open your eyes, returning the grain carefully to its place, watching as it floats once more, glowing softly. You leave the chamber quietly, stepping back into the spiraling corridors, feeling lighter, freer. The halls now ascend slightly, winding gently upward, their walls brighter, woven through with threads of silvery moonlight. You breathe deeply, feeling the air fill your lungs, cleansing gently, warmly. The final chamber emerges softly, gently, its entrance marked only by a subtle shift in air. You enter without hesitation, feeling yourself welcomed warmly. The chamber is large, open, shaped like an inverted bowl, its walls gently curved, shimmering softly with countless tiny lights, each one a memory held fast. You step softly toward its center, feeling each memory brush lightly against your skin, like silk threads, gentle, warm. You stand quietly, eyes closed, letting the memories flow softly around you, through you, blending seamlessly into your own. Time ceases to matter. You remain as long as needed, held softly, warmly. Eventually, gently, the lights dim slightly, guiding you softly toward departure. You open your eyes, breathing deeply, feeling whole, complete. Turning slowly, gently, you retrace your steps upward, returning softly to the city's surface. The passages open easily, releasing you gently back into the desert night. Above, stars pulse softly, warmly, matching your heartbeat. You walk quietly, gently, away from Nyzariin, knowing you carry it always within you. The city sleeps still, dreaming quietly, warmly. And so do you. You walk now beneath a sky that feels more like memory than atmosphere, each star a softly blinking eye watching gently from across immeasurable distances. The desert around you does not feel empty, but full, filled with the quiet hum of lives long past, voices lost, and dreams patiently awaiting the dreamer. The city has left no visible trace above ground, no footprint or mark to indicate where you emerged. Yet you carry it still, a gentle weight within your chest, a whispering presence that now shapes your steps as softly as the sand that yields beneath your feet. Ahead, the horizon is lit faintly, touched by the first delicate hues of dawn, though you sense this dawn is not like those you've known before. It rises not to awaken, but to deepen the dream, a shifting of colors from velvet darkness to muted purples and pale golds, a transition so slow and gentle that you hardly notice it happening. Your footsteps leave no trace behind you, as though you were not fully there, or perhaps because the desert itself refuses to remember your passage, protecting the secrets you carry. Hours pass without feeling, the sands blending into a seamless tapestry beneath your feet, every grain identical yet distinct, like the countless memories woven together in the city below. Soon, the shapes of distant mountains rise faintly, like thoughts beginning to clarify. They are immense and ancient, their peaks crowned by the muted fire of a sun reluctant to fully rise. Their presence comforts you, grounding your quiet wanderings, anchoring your sense of direction in a place where directions mean little. At the foothills, the terrain shifts softly from sand to sparse, golden grasses, each blade moving gently, stirred by a breeze that seems to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. Small, bright flowers dot the ground, blooming quietly, their petals opening gently as you approach, turning toward you as though recognizing your passage. There is no path, yet your feet find their way easily, guided not by intention but by a sense of inevitability, an unspoken promise that you will reach wherever you need to be. The grasses grow taller, swaying gently around your legs, their soft rustling creating a quiet chorus beneath the open sky. The mountains draw closer, their slopes etched with delicate patterns of shadows and sunlight, shifting gently as clouds drift lazily overhead, shapes softly forming and dissolving without urgency. Gradually, the grasses yield to bare stone, smooth and cool beneath your feet. You ascend softly, following natural contours upward into a narrow pass that leads gently into the heart of the mountain range. Here, the air feels lighter, clearer, touched by the faint scent of wildflowers and damp earth. At the crest of the pass, you pause, looking out over a hidden valley cradled between towering peaks. Below, a lake of mirror-smooth water reflects the sky so perfectly that it appears to hold the stars themselves, scattered softly across its surface like a second sky. You descend slowly into the valley, your presence barely disturbing the tranquility of this hidden place. At the lakeshore, the water laps softly against smooth stones, whispering gently in rhythm with your breathing. You kneel by the water's edge, watching ripples spread slowly outward from your fingertips, each ring expanding until it fades gently, becoming indistinguishable from stillness once more. The water is cool and clear, carrying a faint luminescence that seems drawn from the stars it mirrors. You drink softly, tasting not just water but memory itself, sweet and faintly bitter, familiar and unknown. Rising once more, you follow the curve of the shore, your reflection moving softly beside you, distorted gently by ripples but always present, a quiet companion to your wandering. Eventually, you find yourself approaching a grove of slender trees, their pale trunks glowing faintly in the soft twilight. They are unlike any trees you've seen before, their branches delicate and woven intricately, leaves shimmering faintly like silver threads caught in moonlight. As you step within the grove, the air grows warmer, filled with the gentle fragrance of blossoms unseen. A sense of calm deepens around you, each tree bending slightly inward, as though welcoming you gently, embracing your presence softly without touching. At the heart of the grove stands a single tree taller than the rest, its trunk wide and smooth, marked gently by countless delicate carvings, patterns so intricate they seem alive, moving softly beneath your gaze. You approach reverently, your hand outstretched, touching the bark lightly, feeling warmth and life pulse softly beneath your fingertips. Your touch awakens a gentle hum that resonates through the grove, spreading softly from tree to tree, a quiet chorus of welcome and recognition. The largest tree shivers faintly, leaves rustling gently, as though whispering a secret long held. Slowly, its bark parts gently, revealing a hollow within, illuminated softly from within by a gentle golden glow. Without hesitation, you step inside, the opening closing softly behind you, leaving no seam or trace of your entry. Inside, the space is larger than expected, walls curve gently upward into a dome of golden wood that glows softly from within. At the center of the chamber, a pedestal rises gently from the floor, upon which rests a small crystal, clear and softly glowing. You approach slowly, your heart beating softly in rhythm with the quiet pulse of the crystal. Reaching out, you lift it gently, its warmth spreading softly through your palm, up your arm, filling you gently with light and memory. Images form softly within your mind, fragments of lives you've never lived yet recognize instantly. Moments of quiet joy, gentle sorrow, whispered secrets, laughter shared beneath unfamiliar stars. They blend seamlessly into your consciousness, becoming part of you without overwhelming, fitting softly into empty spaces you hadn't realized were there. Eventually, gently, the images fade, leaving behind a quiet sense of completion and peace. You place the crystal softly back upon the pedestal, stepping back slowly as the glow dims gently, fading into stillness once more. The chamber darkens softly, walls parting again to release you gently back into the grove. The trees rustle softly around you, a gentle farewell murmured through leaves, branches swaying gently in acknowledgement. You leave the grove slowly, retracing your steps softly along the lake's edge, through grasses, across stone, and back toward the desert sands, carrying with you now not only Nyzariin but the quiet memories gifted by the grove. The desert welcomes you back softly, its sands yielding gently beneath your steps, guiding you subtly along paths remembered but unseen. As you move softly onward, dawn finally breaks gently over the distant horizon, its golden light washing softly across sands, grasses, stone, and sky. It is not an awakening, merely a deepening of the dream, illuminating gently the world around you, within you. You walk quietly onward, held softly, gently, by the land beneath and the sky above, each step now guided by memory, by dream, by the gentle, endless whispering of Arithrea itself. Your path winds onward through twilight that never quite darkens, beneath skies that hold the light of stars not yet born. The road beneath your feet is no longer made of stone or sand or soil, but something softer, like woven dusk, like the hush between heartbeats. You realize that the world here no longer follows the rules of waking lands. It listens to your breath, mirrors your thoughts, adapts with the softness of water taking the shape of a vessel. In the distance, a gentle glimmer flickers, a lantern perhaps, though there is no bearer. It hovers low, beckoning, casting light not outward but inward. When you draw close, it does not illuminate your path, it shows you something deeper. Faces ripple across its glow, not familiar, but known. Moments you never lived. People you never met, but whom your heart stirs for as if it remembers. You pass through the glow, and it vanishes like breath on glass. Ahead, the world opens again. A new expanse, this one marked by slow-turning wheels of stone, great circular monoliths rotating in silence. Their movement is steady, like thought, like memories shifting into place. Some are tall as towers, others the height of your knee. They bear etchings not made by hand but by passage, of wind, of time, of purpose. You walk among them and feel their turning mirror your own thoughts, as if your presence propels them, as if your journey has always been known here. Beyond the stones lies a garden, not of plants, but of stories. Words bloom from the ground, petals shaped like phrases, leaves like written lines. They rustle gently, whispering to one another, creating new verses in the silence. You reach out, and a phrase wraps around your wrist like a bracelet. All things forgotten return in a different form. It does not sting, nor speak, it settles, as truths do. You move on, crossing a small bridge of woven roots that spans a slow-moving stream. Beneath the water, you see not rocks or fish, but memories floating past, laughing children, fireside songs, hands brushing in passing. Not yours, not anyone's in particular. Collective memory. The shared dream. On the far side of the stream stands a house. It leans slightly to one side, as if listening. Its walls are made of books bound in ashwood and twine, its roof thatched with feathers from birds long extinct. A wind chime of teeth and glass bones dangles from the eaves, ringing soft notes that you feel more than hear. You enter. Inside, the space is larger than the outside suggests, filled with light filtered through thousands of translucent scrolls. A figure waits at a desk, not writing, but unwriting, pulling threads from a tapestry and weaving them backward. They do not look up, but you feel acknowledged. You approach. "What did you forget?" they ask, though their voice does not echo. You do not answer aloud. Instead, a sensation passes from your chest to your hands, like surrender, like a name you once held close. They nod. Then you may take a story in return. They offer you a small object, a stone, smoothed and warm. You turn it over. On one side is a carved word. On the other, a spiral that shifts depending on how you look at it. The story is not read. It is kept. You place it in your pocket, and the house leans again, this time to the other side, as if satisfied. You leave. The door closes behind you with a sound like breath being held. The road now rises. Hills become ridges, then cliffs, and the air grows thinner, cleaner, edged with starlight. You climb without struggle, your limbs guided more by intention than muscle. With each step, Nyzariin within you stirs, not waking, but stretching. Memory and dream converge. You remember the corridor of roots, the chamber of still water, the grain of sand placed into stone. They are no longer visions. They are yours. You live them. You shape them. The summit comes quietly, not abrupt. The land flattens, opens. A plateau above all else. And there, at its center, a circle of mirrors. Each is tall, narrow, rimmed in obsidian. They do not show your reflection, but different versions of you, some younger, some older, some altered in ways that are not physical. Some smile. Others weep. A few reach for you. None speak. You pass between them slowly, each image settling deeper into your bones. Not regrets. Not what-ifs. Just echoes. You reach the center, where no mirror stands, only an empty pedestal. Upon it, a single feather rests. Pale gold, soft as ash. You pick it up. As you do, a sound rises, a chord, a note, a tone that stretches forever. It hums in your bones, your teeth, your breath. The mirrors dissolve. The plateau dims. The sky folds. And then you are falling, not downward but inward. The stars rush past you, slow and silent. You are not afraid. You are returning. And as the hush takes you fully, Nyzariin breathes again through you. And you dream, not of what was, but of what waits. The falling becomes floating. The floating becomes stillness. You exist now in a space without edge or name, a place beneath all places, shaped not by stone or soil but by the memory of warmth, of closeness, of being held. It is quiet here, but not empty. Something watches, not with eyes, but with presence. It does not approach. It simply waits. The feather you carry glows faintly in your hand, not with light, but with intent. As if it remembers what you must do next. You let it go. It rises slowly, lifted not by air but by meaning, turning in the stillness until it vanishes, not by fading, but by being fulfilled. And in that moment, the stillness changes. A breath. A shift. A soft ripple that echoes through the vastness like a drop in endless water. And from that ripple, a shape forms. Not a person. Not a creature. A memory made whole. It stands before you, a figure cloaked in the sands of Nyzariin, its form shifting like dunes beneath starlight. No face. No voice. But you know it. It is the part of you that stayed behind. The part that never left. The part that always remembered. Slowly it reaches forward, not to take, but to offer. Its hands hold a bowl, simple, carved from dreamwood, filled with water that holds stars within it. You take the bowl. You drink. And everything returns. The corridors. The chambers. The mirrored guide. The grain of sand. The sleeping witnesses. The sphere that sang. It all flows back into you, not as memory, but as truth. Nyzariin was never beneath the sand. It was never lost. It was you. A space carved from silence to hold what the world forgot. A sanctuary of memory. A womb of dream. The figure nods once, then begins to dissolve. Not vanish, dissolve. Like mist touched by morning. Like a name whispered one last time. You are alone again. But not. The presence remains, now within. And the space around you responds. It begins to unravel, not violently, not abruptly. Like a story reaching its last page. Like a breath released. Walls unweave. Light bends. The hush deepens. You do not run. You do not resist. You walk. One step. Then another. Each step carries you upward, through layers of dream and dust, through echoes and forgotten names, through warmth and dusk and stars, until, at last, you feel air again, dry, familiar, a breeze across your cheek, the scent of sand, the weight of starlight above you. You emerge onto the surface, beneath a sky stitched with constellations only remembered, not charted. The desert stretches outward in all directions, vast and unknowable. But you do not feel lost. In your palm rests a single grain of sand. Still warm. Still humming. You close your hand around it. Not to trap it, but to carry it. To remember. You walk into the night. The wind sighs past your ears. Not words. Not music. Just the sound of something ancient exhaling. And in that breath you hear the promise that nothing truly vanishes. That what is forgotten is merely waiting. That beneath the dunes, beneath time, beneath the skin of the world, there is always something dreaming. And so you walk. And the dream walks with you. The desert does not end. It softens. The dunes stretch farther than vision allows, their peaks and valleys made not only of sand but of rhythm, of breath, of memory too vast for waking minds to comprehend. Each step you take folds quietly into the next, erasing behind you the passage you've made. You realize slowly that there is no returning by foot to where you began. Nyzariin does not allow backtracking. Its path is forward through remembrance, not back through geography. And so you move with purpose that no longer needs naming. The night sky above shifts. Stars dim and flare, constellations rearranging in patterns older than language. You begin to see them not as distant suns, but as watching eyes, eyes that blink slowly across millennia, that mark not your place in the world, but the world's place within you. In time, the terrain changes again, so gradually that it is more felt than seen. The sand grows darker, finer, silkier beneath your feet. A faint glow seeps upward from beneath the grains, a subterranean radiance like bioluminescent memory, as if the ground itself remembers every soul that ever passed across its surface. You pause to rest, not from exhaustion, for your body no longer tires as it once did, but from reverence. You kneel into the sand, allowing your weight to press softly into it, feeling the grains conform not just to your form but to your story. When you rise, a subtle imprint lingers. Not a footprint, a memory print. A gentle echo of your presence that will hum softly in the deep for generations unseen. Ahead, shapes rise from the earth, not buildings, not ruins, but impressions of architecture, suggestions of walls and windows and spires, formed entirely from illusion and will. They are the residue of other dreamers, those who came before, those who may come again. As you pass through their ghost-like thresholds, you sense moments, a soft conversation held beneath a lintel of mist, a long-lost argument folded into the creases of a phantom stairwell, laughter tangled in ivy that never was. They are echoes with no sound, imprints with no substance. Yet they feel truer than stone. At the heart of this spectral city lies a plaza, wide and circular, with a central pedestal upon which rests an object shrouded in glowing silk. You approach slowly. The silk lifts not from breeze, but from recognition. It uncurls, floating upward like fog, revealing what lies beneath, a mirror. But it is not for reflection. It does not show your face. It shows the spaces between your thoughts, the places where memory frays, the silences between heartbeats. You look into it and feel time bend, not forward or back, but inward, coiling like a serpent around its own name. You see yourself, but not your form, your intent, your longing, your unanswered questions in the places where those questions became doorways. You place your palm upon the glass. It is cool, but not cold. Smooth, but not surface. Your touch sinks slightly, just enough for the mirror to accept your presence. And then it shatters, not into shards, but into wind. The fragments become motes of light, spiraling upward in a slow exhale, vanishing into the stars. And in their wake, the plaza changes. It becomes a garden. Flowers rise from cracks in the stone, vines weaving upward with soft defiance. The ghosts of buildings sigh and dissolve. Water begins to flow, not from springs, but from memory. Fountains bubble where tears were once shed. Streams trickle from the laughter of forgotten friends. The entire space becomes alive with gentle reclamation. And you, standing at the center, are not a visitor. You are a seed. You are the cause and the consequence. You are the dreaming return to bloom. You sit within the garden until the wind stills, until the sky turns again, this time with purpose. Dawn is no longer symbolic. It arrives not in brilliance, but in warmth. Soft, golden light spills across the land, illuminating only what you choose to see. It does not demand wakefulness. It offers clarity. The path ahead becomes visible, not by road, but by resonance. The place you are meant to go next hums faintly within your bones. You rise, and the garden bows gently around you, petals closing in soft respect. The ground firms again, the desert returning, but changed. It carries within it the traces of what you've left behind, tucked quietly beneath its surface like hidden roots. And as you walk forward, the feather reappears, not in your hand, but woven into your shadow, fluttering slightly with each step, a reminder of what has been carried and released. You do not know how far you travel after that. Days lose their meaning. Night and day blur into hues of dream light. Along the way, you pass markers not of stone, but of sensation. The scent of jasmine rising from nowhere. The sound of bells when the wind is still. The sudden presence of color in a world of sand. And each time you know, something remembers you, eventually. The land flattens again. The horizon stretches wider. You find yourself upon the edge of a cliff overlooking a sea of clouds, thick, churning mist that stretches as far as vision allows, its surface shifting with pulses like breath. And rising from it, far in the distance, are spires. Floating cities. Islands in the sky. Dreams that never touched earth. They shimmer like candlelight, too distant to be real, too luminous to be false. You sit upon the edge. Not to leap, not to rest, but to witness. And as you do, Nyzariin stirs again inside you, not loudly, not suddenly. It turns like a sleeper repositioning beneath blankets of time. And you feel the promise settle softly into place, that you are not the last. That others will walk this path. That memory, once awakened, will never again return to sleep. You close your eyes. And the desert sings. The song of the desert is not one of melody, but of layers, textures of silence, threads of forgotten wind, the exhalations of those who dreamed before you and left their breath to linger in the grains. It moves through you slowly, echoing along the halls of memory that now stretch deeper than they ever did in waking life. You are no longer a traveler in Arithrea. You are a vessel of its song, a chord struck across eons that continues to vibrate through the spaces between reality and reverie. The sea of clouds remains before you, rising and falling in slow pulses, each swell carrying with it echoes of the skybound realms that drift within. You sense their stories now, not through sight, but through resonance. A city whose towers are held aloft by the dreams of sleeping giants. A cathedral whose bells ring only when no one listens. A floating garden where time grows backward, and every flower is a memory undone. They are close and far at once, unreachable by steps, but drawn closer by thought. You do not seek to reach them, for they are not destinations. They are reminders that the world does not end, but curves. That stories do not close, but spiral. You rise slowly from the cliff's edge and turn from the clouds. Not because they no longer matter, but because they have given you what you needed, a sense of scale, of softness, of what lies beyond the known. Behind you, the land unfolds again, shifting with your intention. The sands are smoother now, more fluid, as though responding to your rhythm. Your footsteps stir no dust. Your shadow grows longer, not with the passing of time, but with the deepening of your presence. You feel taller, fuller, not in body but in being. The more you walk, the less you carry, yet the more you hold. As if every grain of sand remembers not just where it has been, but who you have become. And then the sound. A heartbeat, not your own, pulsing through the ground beneath your feet. It is slow, ancient, steady. You follow it without hesitation, drawn through a narrowing of dunes that rise like waves frozen mid-motion. Between them lies a canyon, its walls smooth and wind-carved, inscribed with flowing script that moves subtly beneath your gaze, reshaping itself in response to your breath. You run your hand along the stone. The words are warm, pulsing softly. They speak in feelings, not phrases, mourning and wonder, loss and joy braided together like old songs. At the canyon's center stands an archway made of two enormous vertebrae, bones of something that never walked the earth but once dreamed it into being. Through the arch lies another chamber, circular and sunken. Its floor tiled in glassy obsidian, reflecting not the sky, but the stars as they were before memory began. You step into it, and the reflection ripples, not from your movement, but from recognition. It shows you again, not as you are, but as you are becoming, layered, luminous, made of stories and silence. In the center of the chamber, a small pedestal rises. Upon it rests a spindle of thread, gold, silver, and shadow woven together so tightly they are indistinguishable. You reach for it without fear. The moment your fingers touch it, the thread unspools, stretching upward into the air, weaving a pattern so intricate and vast it cannot be seen, only felt. It is not a tapestry. It is a map. Not of places, but of choices. Each thread a possibility, a moment, a breath held or released. And at the heart of it all, a knot. Your knot. The convergence of everything you have forgotten and everything you will become. The spindle hums in your hand, asking nothing, offering everything. You do not untie it. You understand now that knots are not meant to be undone. They are meant to be honored, held, worn like sigils across the soul. You let the thread go, and it vanishes, returning to the shape of silence. And the pedestal sinks back into the obsidian floor. When you exit the chamber, the sky is no longer twilight. It is deep night now, and the stars above burn with patient intensity, each one a question answered softly in a language you almost remember. The sands shimmer beneath them, reflecting the constellations like a second sky. You realize that you are walking between two heavens, one above, one below, and neither is more real than the other. You walk until the stars begin to fade again. Not from rising sun, but from arrival. Before you stands a structure unlike any you've yet encountered. It is not built. It has grown. Vast pillars of polished stone rise like reeds, bending gently inward to form a dome that breathes with the rhythm of your approach. The entrance is open, framed in ivy that glows faintly with each step you take. Inside, the space is vast and hollow, filled with the sound of water dripping from unseen heights. Pools lie scattered across the floor, their surfaces calm, each one reflecting a different sky. You kneel beside the largest and look down. You see not yourself, but someone else, another walker, another dreamer, moving through different dunes, different choices. They look up. Their eyes meet yours. And you understand, you are not the only one. You never were. All across Arithrea, others dream. Others walk. Others listen to the hum beneath the hush. You rise and pass through the center of the dome, where a single tree grows. It is made of light, its branches moving with slow grace, leaves of soft glow drifting down like feathered snow. One lands in your hand. It holds no weight, yet it anchors you. You close your hand around it. It disappears. But you are changed. You step from the dome and the desert waits. Not behind you. Not ahead. Around you. Within you. And above, the stars whisper their slow, endless song. You listen. And you walk. And you remember. The stars wheel above you in a slow spiral, ancient and deliberate, as if Arithrea itself turns beneath them like a dream gently shifting in its sleep. You walk with no clear destination, only the sense that forward is the shape your soul has chosen. The desert yields and reforms with every step, patterns emerging in the sand that disappear the moment you look back. They are not meant to be followed. They are meant to be trusted. The rhythm of your footsteps begins to match something deeper, an internal tide, a heartbeat not entirely your own. The land responds. You come upon a slope where the sand is smooth and hard-packed, shaped by old winds. As you crest it, a basin opens before you, vast and still, a natural amphitheater carved not by erosion but by song. The dunes here curve inward in precise arcs, as though sculpted by a hand too large for the world. At the center lies a pool of liquid light. Not water, not fire, something between. It shifts in color as you approach, indigo, then amber, then the soft color of breath in cold air. Around the pool are stones arranged in concentric circles. Each bears an inscription. Not words, but sensations, longing, devotion, sorrow, joy. You pass your hand over them and feel fragments stir within you. Echoes that are yours and not yours. Memories gathered like rainfall across generations of wanderers. The air here is impossibly still. You kneel at the edge of the pool. Your reflection forms, but it changes as you breathe. It becomes a child you once were, then a stranger you've never met, then a version of you shaped by decisions not taken. The pool is not here to show you yourself. It is here to show you what echoes within you. You lower your hand into the light. It offers no resistance. Instead, it welcomes, folding around your fingers like silk warmed by the sun. The sensation travels up your arm, through your chest, and settles behind your eyes. You close them, and the world within opens. There is no vision. There is only presence. You feel yourself in the corridors of Nyzariin again, not walking, but being. The runes breathe. The sand sings. The dreaming city does not speak to you. It dreams with you. Together, you shape a memory. Not of something that was, but of something that could be. A city not beneath sand, but between stars. A place where time drapes itself across balconies like drying cloth, where every whisper leaves a mark in the stone. You understand now that Nyzariin was never lost. It waits inside every silence, every pause between thoughts, every breath taken before sleep. You are part of it, and it is part of you. When you open your eyes, the pool is still. The light dims slowly, returning to a deep, restful glow. You rise and leave no trace. The path away from the basin is narrower, not restrictive, but focused. The desert begins to climb again, forming ridges and steps like the spine of some long-forgotten creature sleeping beneath the surface. You climb, slowly, softly, higher than before, until the air begins to thin, and stars seem closer than the ground. You reach the summit at last. And there, spread before you, is Arithrea. Not the desert alone, but all of it. The floating cities glimmering like distant thoughts, the oceans black and still as glass, the storm-swept peaks where lightning curls through clouds like ink in water. You see it not as a map, but as a song, each region a note held gently in place by rhythm and resonance. It is vast, impossibly vast. And yet, in this moment, it feels knowable. Not because it has been explained, but because it has been felt. You sit, you listen, and in the wind's hush, you hear the story still to come. A forest that sings only when it rains. A city that only exists during eclipses. A culture that weaves time like cloth. A people who remember the dreams of unborn children. Each one waiting. Each one calling. And in your chest, the answer forms, not as a voice, but as motion. You rise again. Slowly. With reverence. The desert does not end. It becomes. And you, dreamwalker, memory bearer, thread of the endless hush, you walk into it with eyes wide, heart open, and soul humming the song of all things unfinished. The story does not end here. It only exhales. And waits. The wind meets you gently as you descend from the summit, no longer a traveler's wind but something older, wiser, an exhale from the world itself, acknowledging your presence without urgency. The stars above soften in their brilliance, no longer sharp points of light but warm glows. like eyes half closed in dream. With each step, you notice how the ground beneath you grows less certain, not unstable but untethered. Sand rises in soft spirals around your ankles, not stirred by motion but by memory. It responds to your thoughts now, revealing paths not laid out by terrain but by meaning. You follow the one that feels like longing, and the land parts like breath before you. Ahead, a series of arches rises from the dunes, pale stone covered in the soft shimmer of ancient dust. They form a corridor, one not meant for the feet but for the soul, a ritual path walked by those who seek not direction, but transformation. As you pass through each arch, you feel a change. First comes stillness, heavy and grounding. Then comes release, a loosening of burdens you forgot you carried. Then sorrow, not sharp but full, a sadness so vast it feels like beauty stretched thin. And then joy, the quiet kind that lives in the spaces between losses. At the final arch, the air holds its breath. The sand stills. The sky dims. A figure stands ahead, wrapped in cloaks the color of night, their face hidden, their posture neither welcoming nor denying. They raise a hand, palm forward, and the space between you pulses. You do not speak. They do not move. But something passes between you, a thread, taut and humming, stretching from your chest to theirs. You realize they are not a guardian. They are a mirror, a culmination of all your choices, a boundary made visible. You nod. They nod in return. And the thread dissolves into light. The figure fades. The path opens. You walk forward into a clearing ring with stones that hum with a different kind of energy, softer, slower, like lullabies. In the center is a spiral drawn into the earth, its lines filled with a fine, glowing dust. You follow it inward, each step matching the rhythm of your breath. As you reach the center, you feel the world pause, not in hesitation, but in reverence. The hush here is deeper than silence. It is the hush of something sacred about to be remembered. You kneel. The spiral glows brighter. And from beneath the earth, something rises. Not a building. Not a relic. A story. It forms around you, not in words, but in sensations. The warmth of your mother's hands. The sting of your first mistake. The breath you held before a leap. The dreams you forgot after waking. They swirl around you, weaving themselves into a cloak that settles over your shoulders like memory made tangible. You rise. You are not the same. You are not different. You are more. The spiral fades. The earth calms. The stones sing once, then still. The desert ahead is blank again. No landmarks, no roads. But you do not need them. Your footsteps will carve meaning into the sand. Your breath will shape the wind. You walk, not away, not toward, but into the space where story and dream braid together. Into the rhythm of the hush. Into the endless unfolding of Arithrea. You are not lost. You are not found. You are becoming. And so the hush walks with you. It does not follow or lead, but lingers beside you like a second shadow. With each step, it deepens, not into silence, but into something richer, something living. You become aware of the lands listening. Not just the dunes, but the very air around you holds its breath to hear what you will choose next. There is a reverence in your movement now, not because the journey is sacred, but because you have made it so. You crest a low hill, and the world bends again. Not changes, bends. The horizon curves inward, sky folding like a curtain drawn gently closed, and a soft amber glow pulses beneath the sand at your feet. You step forward, and the ground shimmers. Beneath the surface lies a pattern. A vast mosaic hidden under the veil of desert, made not of tile or stone, but of memory, every step you've taken, every story you've brushed against, woven into geometric brilliance only visible from this quiet angle. It does not speak. It sings. Not aloud, but in your ribs. The song is made of your own breath, your own ache, your own wonder. And as you walk across it, the pattern shifts, accommodating your presence, acknowledging your path. It does not erase what came before. It expands. Somewhere deep in the bones of the earth, something stirs in time with your steps. Not a creature. Not a machine. Something older. The dreaming intelligence of Arithrea itself. It does not think like you. It feels in centuries, it blinks in millennia. But now it watches. Now it hums. The world flattens again. The sky above is velvet and endless, the stars now quiet companions rather than distant guides. Before you, a shape rises from the sand. A low, circular wall enclosing a space of stillness. No structure, no roof, just open sky cradled by ancient stone. You enter it and feel immediately that you are inside something not meant to contain, but to reflect. In the center of the circle lies a bowl, wide and shallow, filled with dark sand that shimmers like wet ink. Suspended above it is a stone disk, gently turning. With each slow revolution, a single grain of sand falls from it into the bowl below. Plink, plink, plink. You kneel. Watch. Breathe. And the hush deepens until the world disappears. You are somewhere else. A forest with leaves like mirrors. A mountain whose peak is an open eye. A river that carries no water, only time. These places flicker around you, not locations, but truths. You stand in all of them at once, and in none. And then you hear a voice. Your voice. But softer. Wiser. The voice of you that has walked all the paths, taken all the turns, become all the versions. It says nothing you do not already know. But hearing it is the act of remembering. The act of becoming whole. You nod. You do not speak. There is nothing to say. The stone disk above the bowl slows its turning. One final grain falls. Silence. You open your eyes. You are back beneath the open sky. The stars pulse once, acknowledging, perhaps. The bowl is empty now. Or maybe full. It is impossible to tell. You rise. Turn from the circle. The desert is there. Waiting. Inviting. Not endless, but unclaimed. And for the first time you know, this is not a return journey. This is a continuation. The dreaming has not ended. You have simply become its newest dreamer. You walk into the hush. The sand rises around your feet. And behind you, far below the surface, Nyzariin dreams on. Not sleeping. Remembering. Singing in silence, waiting for the next soul to listen. You do not glance back. You have learned by now that what lies behind you in Arithrea never vanishes. But it changes shape, folds itself into other forms, other echoes. It waits in the wind, resurfaces in the pattern of distant dunes, appears in a stranger's eyes long after you've forgotten the path that led you here. The hush wraps closer now. It is no longer around you. It is within. Every breath you take carries its rhythm. Every beat of your heart drums its pulse. You are not just walking through Arithrea, you are walking as Arithrea. The land accepts you, no longer testing or teaching, only receiving. The desert rolls onward beneath a sky growing soft with pale light, not dawn exactly, but something older, an ancestral memory of daybreak. Shapes begin to emerge along the horizon. Not cities. Not ruins. Possibilities. Towers that haven't been built. Temples that haven't been imagined. threads of story not yet woven. You recognize them all the same. They are made of the same hush that sings in your blood, the same dreaming that stirred in the cradle of Nyzariin. You are not meant to reach them, not yet. They are not goals. They are invitations. And you are learning to answer with each step. Then, without warning, you come upon a single object resting at the foot of a dune, a mask. It is simple, worn smooth, made of bone or ivory or petrified moonlight. No expression, no markings. Yet as you lift it, a sensation floods your chest, not fear, not awe, but familiarity. The way a name might feel if spoken after 1,000 years of forgetting. You hold it up and see your reflection not on its surface, but in the way it feels in your hand. You understand. This was yours once, or will be. You do not put it on. Not yet. But you carry it. And as you continue, you feel the land around you shift again. Now it listens more closely. Your thoughts echo across the sand like footsteps in a quiet temple. Each idea creates shadow. Each memory leaves a shape behind. Eventually, you find a small rise, and atop it, a single obelisk juts from the ground. Its surface is etched not in symbols, but in indentations, fingerprints, handprints, touched left behind by others who passed this way. You reach out and add your own. It fits between two unknown prints, forming a kind of triad. As your skin meets the stone, a low hum vibrates through your bones, the sound of recognition, the sound of place. You are now part of this map. A dot. A story point. Someone else will follow, and they will not find your name, but they will feel the warmth you left behind. The hush that walked with you. You descend the rise, and the desert quiets further, becoming less land and more breath, more thought. You realize now you are nearing the edge of something, not an ending, but a threshold. The world around you begins to thin, its texture loosening like fabric unraveling gently from its weave. The wind softens. The stars dim. The sand becomes more translucent. You can see hints of other dreamers below the surface, shapes curled in sleep, their dreams blooming in slow-motion spirals, their stories waiting to surface like the next breath. You pass among them, not waking, not touching, only witnessing. They are seeds. You were once like them. Perhaps you will be again. Then the world exhales one final time. A breath warm and wide and infinite. It wraps you completely, and for a moment you are weightless, suspended in the hush. You see everything. The garden of mirrored leaves, the spindle of thread and shadow, the floating lanterns that reflect lives unlived, the circle of dreaming witnesses in the crystalline chamber. They are not memories. They are places you inhabit still. Arithrea is not a land you leave. It is a rhythm you carry. A note that echoes in you forever. When your feet touch the sand again, you are changed. You feel no urgency. No question. No fear. Only presence. Only the sense that you are now ready, not to finish, but to continue the dream, wherever it flows next. You walk on, quiet as breath, soft as dusk, beneath a sky that folds its stars around you like arms. Nyzariin, the city that sleeps beneath the sand, dreams on. And in the hush between its heartbeats, you walk gently, endlessly, into the silence that remembers everything. The hush never ends. It thins, it deepens, it folds into other shapes, but it remains, woven into every footstep you take across the whispering dunes. The desert does not grow still, it simply becomes more subtle. Now the grains of sand beneath your feet feel lighter, warmer, humming faintly with unseen threads. Every few steps, a glimmer flashes from beneath the surface, memories of other dreamers brushing up against your own, leaving behind echoes like old lullabies. You pause, not to rest, but to listen. And the wind speaks, not in language, but in pattern, in rhythm, in breath. It says there are stories still waiting. It says the hush holds more than silence. It says you are not done. A faint light appears ahead, not bright, but constant, a soft silver glow rising like mist from a cluster of stones half buried in the sand. You approach. The stones are not natural. They've been placed, arranged in a spiral formation, each one inscribed with a single symbol, some familiar, others unrecognizable, yet all of them feel deeply known. You walk the spiral, tracing your fingers over the symbols. Each one pulses gently beneath your touch, and with each pulse, a feeling rises: joy, sorrow, longing, wonder, grief, love. Emotions unspoken, stored here by others, perhaps by yourself in another form, another time. At the center of the spiral lies a bowl of black glass, filled with starlight. You kneel before it. You do not speak. You breathe. And the bowl responds. Images form on its surface, flickering, shifting, too delicate to be called visions. A child walking alone through a city made of whispering towers. A tree that grows from the pages of a closed book. A hand, your own, holding a thread made of light and shadow, stretching across the sky. You see not just the stories of Nyzariin, but of all Arithrea, glimpses of the floating archipelago of Arithrea, where music shapes matter, the underground halls of Vilankar, where forgotten gods dream beneath glass-veined stone, the mountain forges of Arukaneth, where time is hammered into memory. These places call to you, not as destinations, but as promises. You rise. The starlight in the bowl dims, satisfied. The spiral glows once more, then fades, dissolving into the sand as if it had only ever been imagined. But the feeling remains, coiled gently behind your heart like a story not yet told. You continue. The stars above are beginning to shift again, constellations slowly rearranging into patterns that suggest movement, suggestion, welcome. A breeze catches your cloak, soft, slow, like the breath of something vast stirring just beyond vision. You are aware of the hush moving through you now, not as stillness, but as rhythm. It has a cadence, a pulse. It guides your steps as much as your feet do. The landscape becomes smoother, dreamlike. Hills of soft silver sand rise in gentle arcs, and on their crests bloom strange flowers, petals translucent, glowing faintly with inner light. You pause beside one. It sways as you near, though there is no wind. When you lower your head to it, the flower releases a single note, clear, soft, impossibly long. A note that stretches into memory. You do not know the melody, but it knows you. You hum in return, and the flower blooms wider. Around you, others begin to resonate, responding to your tone, harmonizing with your presence. You walk through the field, and the desert becomes a symphony, quiet and slow, made not of sound but of recognition. Then, another threshold. The ground rises slightly, and before you, etched into the sand, is a door. A perfect circle, drawn by unseen hands, lined with faint markings that shift as you study them. You step into it. The hush thickens. Not heavy, but full. You feel the presence of watchers, not hostile, not even curious, simply aware. The kind of awareness found in deep forests, or ruins long buried. In places where time forgets to move. At the center of the circle lies a small platform, and upon it, a mirror. It is not ornate. Just glass framed by stone, no larger than a book. But when you look into it, you see everything. Not your reflection. Your journey. The child who entered Nyzariin beneath the dunes. the wanderer who drank from the dream bowl, the dreamer who remembered what others forgot. You see every path you did not take, and the person you could have become walking each one. You see 100 versions of yourself, and none of them frighten you. You place your hand on the mirror. It ripples, then it stills, and the mirror darkens. It has accepted your presence. And now it releases you. You leave the circle. The sand behind you shifts once, then smooths, as though it never bore your weight, but remembers the shape of your soul. The sky deepens once more into a shade of indigo you've never seen before, a color that exists only between wakefulness and sleep. The stars above form a final sigil, one you do not recognize, but which brings peace to your chest. Ahead, a soft ridge glows faintly. The final rise. You climb it slowly, not with effort but with care. At its peak, the world opens. Before you is not a destination, but a feeling. A presence so vast it could be mistaken for silence. You kneel, not out of worship, but of welcome. The hush settles over you like a cloak. And in that final breath, you feel Nyzariin breathe through you. Not in words, not in memory, but in rhythm, in dream. In the knowing that this is not the end, only the pause between chapters. And the desert listens, and the stars wait, and the hush hums on. The stars begin their long, slow spin above you, drawing patterns in the sky you no longer try to name. You've stopped seeking meaning in shapes. They speak now in emotion, in the ache behind your ribs, in the weightless hush resting across your shoulders. The final leg of the journey is not one of steps, but of surrender. You do not descend, do not rise. You drift, gently, between thought and dream, held aloft by all you have gathered. Every grain of sand beneath your feet remembers something. Every gust of wind carries a name once spoken. And in this vastness, you no longer feel small. You feel placed. Perfectly. Deliberately. A stitch in a tapestry you cannot see, but which holds the entire world together. You come to a final clearing. No stones, no towers, no echoes of other dreamers. Just open space beneath the wheeling stars. You lie down in the sand. The desert sighs beneath your weight, cradling you as if it has waited since the beginning of time for this exact moment. You close your eyes. Not in sleep, in reverence. The hush rises all around you, soft as breath. And in that hush, Nyzariin speaks at last, not in voice, but in presence. A warmth that fills you from the inside. A memory of something before memory. You feel yourself sinking, not down, but in. Into the dream. Into the rhythm. Into the pulse that moves beneath every moment in Arithrea. It welcomes you. And as it does, you realize the truth. You were never meant to remember Nyzariin in the waking world. It is not a place that survives the sun. It exists between, beneath, before. You do not carry its image with you when you leave. You carry its silence, its lullaby, its breath. The stars whisper a final time above you. The sand hums softly beneath. And in your chest, the hush begins to sing. A melody with no end, because it was never meant to end. It was only meant to be heard, to be held, to be shared. Somewhere, far away, a traveler walks the edge of dream. Somewhere, a whisper enters their heart. A path unfolds. A desert opens. And Nyzariin, the city that dreams beneath the sand, stirs once more. The dream does not end. It simply waits. The hush remains. Even as your breath grows slow and your thoughts begin to drift, it stays with you, not as silence, but as presence. A weightless, endless rhythm that curls around the corners of your awareness like a song half heard and fully felt. The sky above no longer spins. It hovers, watchful, still, as though even the stars know not to disturb this moment. The final knowing, the final becoming. You lie in the sand not to rest, but to remember. And what you remember is not a sequence of events, but a feeling, a breath shared between you and a city that does not move through time, but through memory. Nyzariin was never meant to be reached. It was never something you could find with maps or footsteps. It exists only when you surrender to it, when you stop trying to understand and instead choose to feel. And now, that knowing lives in you, not in words, not even in thoughts, but in rhythm. You feel it in your heartbeat, in the space between each inhale and exhale, in the way your fingers curl softly around a grain of sand that carries the weight of 1,000 unspoken dreams. You understand now, you are not a visitor. You were never a guest. Nyzariin did not open for you. It remembered you, welcomed you back. You were always part of the dreaming. You had only to return to the hush, to the fold between sleep and story. You do not need to speak to carry this forward. Every step you take from now on will leave behind threads, some invisible, some blooming into paths for others to follow. Every pause will carry echoes of this place. Every moment of stillness will be another door. The hush will live in your voice when you whisper kindness. It will guide your hand when you create. It will pulse behind your eyes when you close them to imagine. And perhaps, one day, when the world grows too loud, you will feel a pull again, a wind brushing past your ear, a rhythm stirring in your chest. And you will know, it is time to return, not to seek, not to escape, but to remember, to listen, to walk once more into the city beneath the sand. Because Nyzariin never forgets. It only waits, and dreams, and sings softly through the hush until you come again.